Okay, so picture this. Four teenagers, over $13,000 in stolen cash, and a one-way ticket to paradise. In this explainer, we're going to break down their huge, high-stakes escape to Maui, the crime that paid for it all, and the harsh reality that was waiting for them when that dream of freedom finally collided with real-world consequence. All right, so here's how we're going to unpack this whole story. First, we'll dive into the escape to paradise itself. Then, we'll uncover the shadows of the past. Yep, the crime that was fueling this whole trip. After that, we'll look at the four paths to Maui because you'll see they all had different reasons. Then we get to the juicy part, the cracks in paradise, where it all starts to unravel. And we'll finish up by exploring the choice to return.
Almost every teenager dreams of just escaping. But for this group, it wasn't just some fantasy. It was a full-blown plan. So let's take a look at their pretty wild flight from a life they felt was totally closing in on them.
This quote, it just perfectly nails the mindset of our main character, Jace. For him, this isn't just sneaking away. No, it's a clean break. He's trying to sever ties with a life and a culture in Utah that he feels is completely suffocating him. So, after weeks and weeks of planning, the moment finally arrives. It's cold, it's before dawn, and you've got Jace and his friend Dylan literally running, dragging their suitcases down a sidewalk. The adrenaline is just pumping. This isn't just a trip for them, it's a brand new beginning. And they're so buzzing with excitement that when a cop actually stops them, Dylan, get this, has the nerve to ask the officer for a ride to the bus stop. Unbelievable. But here's the thing. This was never just some innocent youthful adventure. Their escape was paid for by a pretty serious crime. And as they're about to find out, the past has a funny way of catching up to you, even when you're on the road to paradise. You can just imagine the tension on that bus. As the group is sitting there, they pass the movie theater, and this silent understanding just flows between them. For Jace, seeing that place triggers this powerful flashback, and it reveals the dark secret that's not only funding their entire journey, but is now haunting every single step they take. The robbery itself was a split-second thing, totally impulsive, born from this weird mix of desperation and just opportunity. Jace remembered the fog that night was so thick you could barely drive. But that same fog was what gave them the cover they needed. It was a literal fog, sure, but it was also a metaphorical one, clouding their judgment and hiding what they were doing. $13,680.21. This isn't just a number on a screen. It's the actual weight of their crime. It's the money they stole from the theater's deposit bag and from the employees' wallets. This specific figure is what turns their dream of escape into a very harsh reality built on theft. So, they might all be on the same bus, on the same plane, heading to the same island, but believe me, they're on four completely different journeys. Every single one of these teenagers is running from something deeply personal, a really unique motive that's pushing them toward Maui. This breakdown really shows you what's at stake for each of them. Look at Alondra. She kicks in the most, almost 10 grand, because she's furious at her parents for taking away her art studio. Dylan's in it for the adventure and to get away from his family's money problems. But then you have Sarah, who brings the least amount of cash. She's there almost entirely out of loyalty to Jace. And these different motivations, well, they're going to become some major cracks in the group down the line. So, to get by in this new world, they create these fake personas. Alondra, the artist, gets these really high-quality fake IDs for everybody. She and Dylan become Sharon and Red Cox, a supposedly married couple. It's this playful, almost childish attempt to outrun their past, and it just screams how naive they are about the real challenges that are waiting for them. As you can probably guess, that sun-drenched, perfect vision of paradise, it doesn't last very long. The dream pretty quickly collides with a seriously harsh reality. Turns out freedom is both really expensive and way more complicated than they thought. The dream was so simple, right? Endless freedom, a totally fresh start. But the reality, it was the shocking cost of living in Maui, the constant fear of getting caught, and that shared purpose they thought they had, it starts to fracture under the weight of everyone's personal doubts. They learn pretty fast that finding an apartment, getting jobs, just surviving, it's a lot harder than they ever imagined. And right here, this is where Jace's guilt over Sarah's sacrifice just boils over. She was a straight-A student with a super bright future, and he knows it. This becomes a huge source of tension. He's starting to realize he can't actually outrun his responsibilities, especially not to the person he cares about the most. This is a big shift for him. So they're on a beach. It should be perfect. But then Jace just drops this question on Sarah. And this is the absolute turning point. In this one moment, that whole fantasy of a carefree escape just shatters, and it's replaced by this grim reality of a future spent hiding, totally aimless, and always, always afraid. This all leads us to the climax of Jace's internal struggle. The weight of this whole decision gets so heavy that it actually shows up as this powerful, really symbolic dream he has on the flight he eventually takes back home. So in his dream, Jace is at a fork in a trail. The easy, downhill path, which is obviously the escape to Maui, leads him right to the edge of a dangerous cliff. He realizes the only way to be safe isn't to keep going forward, but to turn around and climb back up this brutally difficult uphill path. The dream is a crystal clear metaphor for his choice. The easy way out leads to ruin, but the harder path, that's the one that offers a shot at redemption. So in the end, Jace's return isn't a failure, not at all. It's a difficult, conscious choice to finally face what he did. He separates his path from the others, who decide to stay in their now fractured paradise. He is choosing to take that uphill trail. And that's where we're going to leave it. Jace made his choice. But what about Sarah, Dylan, and Alanja? Is their version of freedom going to last? Or is it really just a beautiful prison? It makes you wonder, what does true freedom really mean when it's built on a foundation of just running away? Thanks so much for joining this explainer.